Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, has been in the media. He's been the subject of ridicule and of shame as of late because he released that video, I'm sure you all saw, where he is claiming that Tyson Fury, amongst others, cheated him out of his fair share, his fair opportunity. He was cheated in the rematch. We all know. I made a video about it back in February. How he said his elaborate outfit was too heavy and it caused him pre-fight fatigue, which we all thought was a silly excuse. 45, 55 pound outfit, although it can put extra strain on you that you're not used to, should not determine whether or not you are outboxed and beaten silly in the heavyweight, the biggest heavyweight championship fight of your life at that point. Since then, he recently came out with a video where he was quoting Bible scripture, saying, "Be slow to, quick to listen, slow to speak," and all these other type of things. And nothing wrong with the video other than the fact that it's got many people shaking their head in disbelief and saying that he has lost his marbles, to quote Tyson Fury. So while they're saying that Tyson Fury tampered with his gloves, possibly held an egg weight in his fists, somehow slipped that past the commission, because in order to cheat and hold egg weights in your hands or anything in your gloves, you have to slip it past the commission, who watches as you get your hands wrapped, who holds onto your gloves until it's time to get your hands wrapped. I personally have seen this. I know people who were the ones in charge of holding the gloves and giving them to the fighters prior to their hands being wrapped, and the ones who retrieved the gloves immediately after the fight. I've personally seen this happen, and it's also just common knowledge in the boxing world that the commission watches you get your hands wrapped. Members of the opposition's corner watch you get your hands wrapped. So it would be very, very hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be very difficult to sneak some kind of weight into your hand while they're getting wrapped, or to slip something into the glove, or to tamper with the glove. There has been issues with this in the past, and because of those issues, the security and the scrutiny around the protection of the fighter and the integrity of the hand wrapping and the glove is all monitored. So it would be very hard to slip that past anybody, because that is a life-threatening thing. We saw Antonio Margarito. He was successful against Cotto in their first fight, and he was exposed later when he was prior to his fight with Shane Mosley. Margarito got caught. He was dipping his hand wraps in plaster of Paris, which gave him a tremendous edge in punching power, which is why he was able to brutalize Cotto in the first fight and basically tarnished any victory he had up to that point. And when he was forced to re-wrap his hands against Shane Mosley, he got the brakes beat off of him because he didn't have that cheating power. So I say all that to say that it would be very difficult, not 100% impossible, but highly unlikely for Tyson Fury to slip any kind of tampering into his gloves. Although when you do look at photos and some video footage of the gloves, they do appear to be weird. But when I was watching that fight, Fury versus Wilder Part 2, as I watched it live, and I seen the initial right hand that landed hereabouts on Wilder's head, that knocked him down, the first thing that I said was that he popped his eardrum, because the way his ear was bleeding looked like he got his eardrum popped. And I think that just took out his equilibrium and had him all messed up for the rest of the fight. And Tyson Fury in that fight switched over to a trainer from the Kronk gym, and he is basically a protege and descendant of Emmanuel Stewart, and Emmanuel Stewart is a world-renowned, famous trainer of champions. So I think Sugar Hill Stewart carried on that legacy, and Tyson Fury is a huge man, and he gave him an aggressive offensive game plan as opposed to his usual slick duck and dodge, pitter-patter game plan that we were all used to. And it caught Wilder by surprise and busted eardrum. And so Wilder is being largely ridiculed and discredited for his ranting. He's being ranting, calling Mark Breland, the guy who threw in the towel. He was fired subsequently. He said he might have tampered with his water. And it's just, it looks like he's making excuses for his loss. They were supposed to have the trilogy fight in December, and supposedly Wilder didn't want the fight, and he didn't execute his legal right to a rematch. He forfeited that, and Tyson Fury was tired of waiting for him. So now Tyson Fury will be fighting in December against a little-known contender. Ajit Kabayel is a German fighter of Kurdish descent. He is 20-0 with 13 knockouts, and I think the biggest win on his resume is against Derek Chisora. So what is Wilder going to do? Fury's moving on. Fury's fighting a guy who doesn't really pose any threat to him. It's just a warm-up, tune-up fight, getting him ready, assuming that Anthony Joshua, who fights Kubrat Pulev next month, assuming Joshua gets past Pulev and Fury handles business the way he's supposed to against this Ajit Kabayel, they've got, I think, plans for at least 2 fights in 2021. So Wilder has essentially placed himself on the outside looking in, and with all these excuses, all these claims that people are seeing merely as excuses, he has alienated himself. And even though he still does have a large fan base, myself included, I like Wilder. How is he going to stay relevant when you've got Fury fighting a tune-up fight, AJ fighting an actual threat in Kubrat Pulev, but a fight he should win? And should those two be successful, they're going to face each other at least twice in 2021. So do to get himself back on the right track. A lot of people would say, boxing experts as well as just psychological pundits and experts and observers would say, the best thing he could do for himself is to take ownership of the loss and to examine what went wrong, what he could have done better, and to worry about what it is he can control and improve on whatever it is he needs to improve on to set himself up for the opportunity to regain his title. Now, many people, after seeing the second fight, say that he has no chance against Tyson Fury. Fury's just too good of a boxer. His boxing skills, coupled with his enormous stature and his ability to be aggressive and deliver a knockout, as we all see now under the tutelage and training of Sugar Hill Stewart, that a guy that came into the game late the way Deontay did, although Deontay has tremendous athleticism, tremendous heart, and arguably the greatest right hand in combat sports boxing history, that eraser is not going to be enough for someone who is a bigger man and a much more skilled and seasoned boxer, has a larger pedigree amateur-wise. And Wilder, a lot of people are saying he could never beat the Gypsy King. So how does Wilder get his title back? Is it possible, or is he done? Is he going to become some sort of gatekeeper who gets beat by lesser opponents now? Has he lost his mojo? He still seems confident. He still carries himself with that air of confidence, and he still carries himself in a championship manner. But is that all bravado? Does he really believe it? And can he make the adjustments to get himself another title shot? And that being said, does he have the best chance if Fury and Joshua fight and somehow Joshua emerges victorious? Because Joshua, although he's a skilled fighter and he's been through some wars, is he as durable as Fury? Is he as slick as Fury? And could he withstand what Wilder offers? My question is Wilder's best opportunity, if he does have one, in fact, to get his title back if Fury loses to Joshua somehow?